An update from something we talked about last week. The World Trade Organization is teaching Russia to adapt to global market rules. It's been stated that by August 27th, 2012, Russia will be joining the World Trade Organization. This is very significant in terms of the role Russia is going to play in the new world order. According to this headline, it's hard to find more solid proof of capitalism's victory in Russia than the upward trajectory of its consumer market. For Russians of an older generation, this is an eye-opening experience. And it goes on to talk about how people are responding to this. In Russia, there are protests against this, similar to the protests we saw here in the United States in 1999 and the year 2000. There were people in this country, some call them leftists, some call them socialists, but we now know the dangers of free trade rules and agreements and how it's devastating to local businesses, how it's devastating really to a true free market when these deals are taking place. And then we also saw the U.S. go on a dark road of aggression and imperialistic wars shortly after these WTO organization deals were made in 99-2000. We had 9/11 in 2001, which the evidence shows this was a pre-planned situation that shocked the world and ignited fear within the United States. And we saw what happened afterwards, and we're still in this never-ending war. Who knows where it's going to spread from here on out? So we see Russia join the WTO, and we can't help but wonder, are they going to be following in suit? Is the Russian government going to have a crisis in the next several years that will require their military to respond? And so this is something that we have our eye on. Now, on the topic of that, of all the times for this to happen, check this out from the Boston Herald. Russian Navy chief says his country is studying a base in Cuba. A statement by the head of the Russian Navy says that his country is considering establishing a naval facility in Cuba, underlining the warming relations between the former Cold War allies, but sparked little initial concern in the United States. And that, I believe, is because they're allowing this to take place. Vice Admiral Viktor Shirkov said Russia is, quote, studying the creation of points for assistance and technical maintenance in Cuba, and talks with those countries on the facilities began some years back. His comments reflected the Russian government's campaign to expand its naval presence around the globe, first announced in 2010 by then-President Dmitry Medvedev. The former Soviet Union has 16 naval bases abroad, but now Russia has 2. One is a major base near Ukraine. The other is more of a repair and resupply facility in the Syrian port of Tartus. But we are looking at a base very close to the United States. This could jeopardize national security in the future if there's ever a conflict between the United States and Russia. And certainly things are becoming more warlike in the world. This situation with Syria is not good. China and Russia have both vetoed sanctions against Syria, and I and others believe this is going to lead to some sort of retaliation at some point. And the deeper truth is that may be part of the design for America to take the fall as this country gets absorbed into the new world order structure being led by the East, being led by China and Russia. Meanwhile, China is expanding their presence in Latin America, making deals with Hugo Chavez and many other governments that have already turned against the United States, that are more interested in trading the oil, their oil with China. And so for a lot of people, it looks like this is all on the up and up because of all the bad things the U.S. has done. They're looking at China and Russia to play the role as this good cop, the one to save them from U.S. imperialism, of the destruction that just keeps seemingly spreading and spreading and spreading. The world is going, who's going to stop the beast? Who's going to stop the evil Americans? Even though you and I are against what our government's doing, the government, however, does not represent us. And the government is obviously run by criminals that want to see more death. And so problem, reaction, solution, this appears to be all a part of the design to destroy this country and eventually put the people in danger that live in this country. And so we're going to keep our eyes on that as well. Last but not least, then we're going to go to a break. New submarines to reinforce Russia's nuclear naval forces. This is from presstv.com. Russian President Vladimir Putin has pledged to expand the capabilities of Russia's nuclear naval forces in a move to strengthen the country's position as a leading naval power. Reuters quoted Putin as saying on Monday, quote, "We believe our country should maintain its status as one of the leading naval powers." He made the comment at a meeting of Russia's naval commanders and government officials at a shipbuilding yard north of the country, as Moscow is set to build the newest generation of Russian submarines named, oh boy, get ready for this, Prince Vladimir. You know, and I just got to say, in closing, I am so sick and tired of hearing about Vladimir Putin being some sexy man that's going to save the world from the U.S. This guy is a piece of garbage. This guy is KGB. This guy is Russian intelligence. And if you know anything about the Russian government, they have been involved in war crimes against women. There were so many horrible things that happened to Afghanistan when the Russians were occupying between 1979 and 1989. Look what happened to Russia. They fell after that, and they developed this new system. Oh, we're no longer the USSR. We're now the Russian Federation. We're good guys now. Everything's fine. No, things are not fine. Things are not fine. They can go ahead and show you image after image of Vladimir Putin throwing guys over his back, judo style, with his shirt off. They can show you thousands of women in bikinis worshiping this man because sex still sells. You take a beautiful woman and you put her on camera and you go, "Oh, Vladimir Putin, he is sexy, man. He's going to take us to a brave new world." Yeah, he's going to take you to a new world, all right. Not one that you or I are voting on or even privy to the plans. So something big is in the works. We can see the shift of power by design moving to the east, and how the media establishment, Russia Today and others, is acclimating the public to this idea that Putin is some sort of a god, some sort of a messiah, in deeper ways than anything they've done with Barack Obama. And I think this is a sign of something dark to come. And with that, we'll go to break and come back with the rest of the news.
Oh yeah. Hey fellas, March is right around the corner and you know what that means. It's time to vote for the President of Russia. And these hot young ladies want you to vote for Vladimir Putin. So much so that they've formed Putin's Army, a movement that urges girls to show their support for the current Prime Minister by taking off their clothes. Intent on getting their message out, they've even created this video advertisement, in which Putin is referred to as, quote, "our president." And it doesn't stop there. This group of Moscow State University students staged a bikini-clad car wash to persuade a Putin presidential bid.